Hello, everybody out there. So for today's video, I wanted to do a part 2 of the 4-part do's and don'ts of a first date. So for part 2, I literally wanted to do it on the actual during the date part. This one's gonna be a little bit shorter than the first part of the video, which is kind of like the prep work or the before the first date stuff. As far as the videos, they're gonna be done on Mondays, every Monday in February, aside from today because I was out of town yesterday, so my schedule kind of got messed up. But here I am today doing the video. So without further ado, start part 2. My quick advice, because it's gonna be a little bit shorter, it's gonna be like kind of to the point because I don't think it's as much information is really needed, and I don't want to exacerbate the point because this is a 4-part series, so I'm not trying to drag it out for too long. So first thing first, on a first date, my recommendation is to avoid a few things right off the rip. So if you are a guy or a gal, don't care which you are, or anything else, like anyone else, whatever you identify as, I don't care. The point being is, for the love of God, don't talk about sex. Try and, if it was me, I would try and avoid politics and religion, just because they're very heated subjects. And yes, you want to know those things, and yes, they need to come up eventually, but I feel like they're easily turn-offs to people who, like, maybe they do have political beliefs or religious beliefs, but they're not like diehard people that follow them. Like, they identify with them, but they're not like diehards, and it may come off very imposing if someone's like, this is what I believe and this is what I think and what do you think? And it just comes off very aggressive sometimes, so I would just avoid some of those topics. As far as sex, obviously, like, it's a first date, you're just meeting this person, I wouldn't bring up sex. The other thing that I would avoid talking about is your ex. If they're talking about their ex, that is a red flag. You gotta get out of that situation, because people that are generally talking about their exes are not over their exes, or still hold some sort of bitterness or anger. I'm gonna say anger. They hold some type of anger towards their ex usually as well. That's not a good situation, something you want to be involved in. So no sexes, no exes, no politics, no religion. That's off the rip. So from there, as far as during the date, my recommendation, yet again, regardless of who you are, but especially if you're a dude, have things to talk about that are interesting. I can't tell you how many dates that I have been on, first dates, that, especially when I was younger, that's what I would say, is when I was younger primarily, that were really bland or boring or dull. I don't consider myself to be a bland or boring or dull person. I mean, that's just how I feel though. So I really feel like a lot of those times it was because the conversation wasn't really super flowing, or I didn't know what to talk about, or I was nervous or anxious. So my recommendation, I can literally tell you that I've done this before. I don't have it anymore, but I definitely did. Is I went into my phone, in my notes, and this is no bullshit, it's like a quick tip. I went into my notes on my phone and I wrote out like 10 good quality questions to ask the girl that I went out with. Reason being is that it'll help you have things to talk about if it does get kind of quiet, or just spice up the conversation if it's kind of boring. And also, you're gonna learn more stuff about the person that you're with, and it comes off like, yet again, less generic. It's just like going, like I said in the very first video, it's not you just going out to the movies or going out to a restaurant. It's something different. So when you ask questions that are a little bit different, a little bit more like off the cuff and don't really seem like the average thing the average guy or average girl would ask, it's definitely gonna spark conversation and kind of make you stand out a little bit, because you're not asking the average Joe shit, so it's less boring. 1,000,000% will definitely help you. So again, like, I had it on my phone in my notes, so like I could, like, it sounds so nerdy, but I don't care, because it literally helped me to like get comfortable. And then once I kind of had like my comfortability in what I wanted to talk about and some of the other like random questions I wanted to ask that were kind of just literally random, I deleted it. But I'm telling you, having a quick like reference, like you're sitting down and waiting for a girl at the bar or waiting for her to show up wherever, and you're like, okay, like here's my quick questions. Even if you don't remember them all, it's helpful to kind of, like I said, like reference it. That's my, like I said, quick tip, because it'll help you keep conversation flowing, and also, like I said, just make you stand out to not be like a boring lemon, to be 100% honest. Another good thing that I would say, like the quick tip in the tip, is one of my favorite questions to ask, and I've asked it to like probably everyone I've ever been in a relationship with and everyone that I've gone on a date with, because it's just a fun question. And it has multiple benefits if you're a dude especially, is asking the girl, hey, what's the worst first date or the worst date you've ever been on? Now, what does this do for you? It is going to set you up where, number one, you're asking a question that no one asks, or rarely few people ask. Number two, it's going to usually make them laugh. They might be a little upset, like, that guy was a fucking asshole, but they're going to laugh like, oh, this stupid shit happened, or he did this. Excuse me as I die. So they're going to laugh about it. So you're going to kind of bring their mood up. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is, in reality, like whether they do it consciously or subconsciously, like I'm telling you, this will happen almost every time, I guarantee it. If you ask her, hey, what was the worst first date or date you've been on? she's gonna think about how terrible that shit was, and then she's gonna be like, oh, this date isn't going too bad, like, or like, oh, this date's going really good, especially in comparison to how fucking terrible that over here was, that story I just told. So it kind of serves multiple purposes, and I would really recommend that question. And also it's just fun, like it really like prompts more conversation, because it's a funny question no one asks, and like you get the, usually 9 times out of 10 she'll ask you, hey, what was yours? You tell your funny story, and it kind of just like keeps the conversation like really flowing, and kind of like keeps it moving forward like even faster than before. So I'd really recommend that as well. Another quick tip, especially for dudes, I mean, obviously it goes for everybody, but I would say guys especially, is don't get like super wasted, because you being drunk and all that jazz is not cool. It kind of comes off as a big turnoff. It kind of shows the girl that you maybe aren't as confident, or you don't really know what you're doing, so you need more liquid courage than you actually need. So again, like just limit your alcohol consumption, and it's just gonna make you, like, for one, it looks like you're not an alcoholic, and for number two, it makes it look like you have a little bit of confidence, you know what you're doing, and also like don't drink and drive. Like, it's a random little side note in there. So that's my other recommendation, is for guys especially. Obviously women, it makes sense like not to get super drunk as well, but I'm just saying like for guys also, like just limit it. Don't be too anxious. Like it's okay. Like have a drink or two and you'll be fine. So after like the date goes well, and I'm assuming it's gone well, like, so those are like the little bitty quick tips on like the things that I would recommend. This is really important. So like if there was ever a part, I wish I could like so if people knew, like if they watched any of the video, watch this part, is if the date has gone well, my recommendation, just me, this is what I would always recommend. If you went out to a bar or grill, something like that, towards the end of the date, before she says, hey, I gotta go, or hey, I had a great time, but I'm gonna leave, I would recommend that you ask, like, hey, do you wanna grab some food real quick somewhere? I'm kinda hungry. And see what she says. If you go out somewhere, like I said, like a pool bar, whatever, axe throwing, mini golf, whatever other activity that I recommended in the first video, if you do that, ask her like, hey, do you wanna grab a drink real quick? I had a really good time, or whatever, however you wanna word it. Excuse me. Now, why do you wanna do this? It is going to be a good, like, quick kind of test to, like, see where things are at. Like, also, I'm going to tell you, like, if the date's gone bad or it's been kind of boring or dry, like, don't ask, because it's not going to get better. 9 times out of 10, it's going to keep on being boring or dry, and, like, no matter what you do, it's just, like, there's not a connection, or it's just not there, so, like, just let it die. Just let it die. But if you do feel like things have been going well, there is a connection, I would really, really recommend asking that question. Asking, like I said, do you want to grab a bite of food real quick? Do you want to go get a drink real quick? And also, just in case you watched the first video, don't sit there and type and say, but you said don't go to a restaurant. No, okay, I'm not saying go to like a nice restaurant. I didn't say go to a restaurant. I said don't go to a restaurant at the beginning of the date. I said nothing about going to get food, not necessarily a restaurant, at the back end of the date or towards the end of the date. So what I'm saying to you about that is there's a lot of 24-hour diners. There's 24-hour Mexican food places where I live. There's 24-hour diners where I live. I guarantee you got places where like that where you live, or a bar that's still open, bar and grill, whatever. Ask her to go out somewhere else after the date. Now, why is this important? The reason being is if the girl tells you off the rip, like, no, I'm okay, or I'm really tired, or I had a good time, but I'd rather not, or just no, or some other excuse, I'm going to be honest with you, and she's probably not feeling the date that much. You probably said something wrong, did something wrong, or maybe the connection's just really not there and you're not picking it up, and she is. That's usually what's going to happen. Now, if she tells you, oh, I have to work tomorrow morning, you got to kind of fill that out. If that kind of came up earlier, if you know that she works a day job in an office and she's got to be at work at 9, I'm not saying you would know all of that, but if you know that some of that, if you feel like it's genuine, then it's probably genuine. Like, I feel like most women are going to be, they want to be direct, but they don't want to have some guy freak out on them and be like, you don't want to go out with me to go get a drink or to get food. So I understand that sometimes it might not be genuine, but I feel like a lot of times you can kind of like feel it out. If it's not genuine, same thing. Like, she probably doesn't feel it. The vibe's not there. She doesn't really like you as much as she thought she did. Whatever it may be, it definitely is based off of the fact that she just doesn't want to go out with you anymore. Or maybe she actually is tired or whatever else, but I feel like that's a very rare situation. What I think is more common is she doesn't want to go out anymore. But if you recommend to go to the bar or to go get something to eat, and she says yes, this serves multiple purposes. Like I said, you're going to know she's interested in you because she says yes to you. Then she obviously hasn't hated the date. She actually likes you. She's enjoyed conversation, because if she didn't, she'd be like, this is my chance, run. So she's not doing that. So that's positive. So obviously, if she's saying yes, that's good. Number two is that in reality, what it does for you as a guy, especially, it really sets you up in a position where you're now turning one date into 2 dates. So it kind of like expands the amount of time you're getting to spend with her without like spending 4 hours in a fucking bar or 4 hours at a mini golf place, which seems impossible because it probably is. So you're setting yourself up to expand the date, spend more time, get to know her better. And obviously if the conversation's been flowing, the date's flowing, it's gonna keep on flowing just like that, because that's what was happening over here, unless you say some crazy shit. So don't say anything crazy. But the other thing I would really tell you about it is when that girl looks back, she's gonna be like, oh, like I had a really good time. We went here, and it really feels like you went on like 2 dates in one versus the average of just 1 date. So again, it makes you really stand out as a guy because you're gonna make her feel like you're going on multiple dates. You're doing more than what she averagely does on her first date. And also, like I said, you're getting to know her more. You're getting to spend more time. And the more time and rapport you build with somebody, whether it's sales or whether it's in a first date or a relationship in general, the more rapport, the stronger relationship you have, the more likely that things will continue to progress in a positive way, and you'll have more dates or more time with such said lady or man. So that's pretty much the general idea behind that. And I think also, like I said, it really sets you apart because you're not being boring. And also kind of like, to be honest, it kind of comes off as you being kind of confident too, because you feel like it's gone well enough. You're being kind of like, to be honest, kind of dominant and being like, hey, I had a really good time. Like, I want to spend more time with you. Do you want to? And like I said, it kind of gives you a definitive too, because like I said, if the girl's just like, no, or I'm good, or I'm just tired, then like I said, 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, she's just not into it. And that's okay. That's life. First dates. It is what it is. But if she does say yes, then things are going good. Or maybe she's just really hungry and you're not terrible. But either way, the more time that you have, the better things are going to turn out. So like I said, it's not too long of a video. I kind of said it was going to be a little bit shorter because it's kind of just, like I said, a 4-part series. I don't want to do a 40-minute video. So it's more like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So that's pretty much what I got for the actual during the date advice. If I do forget anything, I'll put it in the comments or description or something, just because sometimes stuff pops into my head afterwards. What I will say at the end of the day is I don't ever like to ask anybody to like or subscribe to my stuff. Like, if you want to do that, that's awesome. I appreciate the support. But what I will say is what I will always ask during these videos at the end, possibly at the beginning, maybe both, is my goal in my life at this point in time is to help 100 million people. And that's kind of a fat number. So whether it's in little ways by brightening someone's day, as small as that, or big ways where something that I say or some people's advice that I give changes someone's life drastically or just makes it better in some area. That's kind of the name of the game. The easiest way for me to be able to accomplish that is if people share my stuff. I'm being 100% honest. So if the video is helpful to you, if you feel like you got some value from it, I would ask you to share it. Same thing, if you feel like it'll be helpful to somebody else or will brighten somebody else's day, please share it again. And the last thing is, not necessarily this video, but maybe a little bit, more videos in the future, other videos I've already filmed that I'll upload in the future as well. If it does brighten somebody's day that maybe you don't even know, you think it'll just make them laugh, just something small, please share it again, because at the end of the day, that's the whole goal. So that's what I have for the YouTube fam out there who ended up watching this video. Until next time, guys, stay healthy and safe. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye. So the part that I left out of the original video, which is terrible to think, was the other thing during an actual date part of the date, is if, regardless of what you do, my recommendation, I've said it in the videos before, like I know I've said it quite a few times, is regardless if you're the guy or the girl, you really need to offer to pay. And I'm telling you, as a lady, guys are going to appreciate it. Whether you end up paying or not is really not like the end all be all. Just you offering shows that you care and that you respect their money and time, even if the date wasn't like great. I mean, if it was terrible, then I mean, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily offer to pay. But if it wasn't terrible, if it was a decent date or if it was a really good day, I would just offer to pay. It's a really respectful thing. It shows that you value, like I said, you value someone's time and money. The other thing I would really tell you at the end of the day is if you're a guy, if the girl does not offer to pay, if the girl does not reach for the check, offer to split something, then I would honestly tell you that's not a good situation. And even if some girl on here says, well, just old fashioned. No, no, not at all. The reason why I say that is because, yes, I believe in old fashioned, but I also just being like a progressive, respectful human. And I'm not saying you have to pay if you're a girl. I'm not saying if you have to pay if you're a guy, but I am saying both parties, men, women, should be offering to split or pay or something just because you're showing that you are respectful to the other person's time and money and that you actually have thought about somebody else other than yourself. So again, if you're a guy and they don't offer to split or pay or you buy around, I'll buy around, something like that, then I would really recommend like calling that a big red flag. And I personally, if that happens in my life, I'm not going out with them again. So that would just be like my little quick tip that I forgot to mention. So just like throw that in there as well. And I'll probably for the first time ever, maybe I'll edit that in there.